He checked the security cameras of his old house, ready to catch an intruder. But what he saw left him frozen. His ex-wife, cradling a newborn. Whose child was it? Why was she there? And what secret had been hidden all this time? Stay with me, this story will break your heart, and then heal it. Before we begin this incredible story, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you never miss our powerful, life-changing content. Remember to like, share, and support the channel, because here, storytelling is more than just entertainment. Every story carries a meaningful moral lesson designed to inspire, heal, and uplift your heart. Millionaire checked his old house cameras furious, and froze when he saw his ex-wife with a newborn. I was never meant to be rich. Not with the childhood I had. Not with the bruises from my father's fists. Or the days I went to sleep on an empty stomach. But pain has a way of sharpening focus. And I learned early, no one was coming to save me. I built everything from nothing. First a garage startup, then an empire. Silicon walls, boardrooms, glowing screens. Money, power, prestige. But somewhere along the way, I lost her. Clara. She was not there for the first millions. But she was there for the first ramen dinners. The nights I worked until my eyes bled from the screen. The failures that nearly crushed me. She did not fall for the man with the money. She fell for the man who still had mud on his shoes. And I lost her. Not in one moment, but in a slow erosion. 1,000 ignored glances. 100 broken promises. 10 missed anniversaries. One lonely heart, quietly walking away. The divorce papers came during a board meeting. I signed without looking. I thought I was too busy winning to feel pain. But pain does not wait for silence. It screams at 3 a.m. It sits next to you in empty penthouses. It echoes in old photographs. 2 years passed. I never saw her again. Until this morning. The construction crew called me. They said someone had broken into the old lake house. The one I built for Clara. The one she begged me to visit, before she left. Furious, I opened the security app. My fingers trembled. The camera blinked to life. A figure stepped into the frame. And I forgot how to breathe. It was her. Hair longer now. Tired eyes. But still Clara. And in her arms. A baby. I zoomed in. The child looked no older than a few months. Wrapped in the old quilt Clara made with her mother. The one she swore she would save for someday. My stomach twisted. Thoughts screamed. Whose child is that? Why was she at my house? Why did she look so broken? I checked the next camera feed. She entered the living room. Same old furniture. Same broken clock on the wall. Same fireplace where she once kissed my forehead. After my company nearly collapsed. She sat slowly, cradling the child. And then, she looked directly into the camera. Eyes shining. Mouth trembling. And she whispered something I could not hear. I hit replay. Paused. Zoomed. Her lips moved again. Help me. Then, the child began to cry. Clara gently rocked them, humming the same lullaby. She once sang to me after my mother died. My chest burned. Why would she come here? Why now? Why with a baby? Unless. And that is when I noticed it. A letter. Tucked beside her bag. Addressed to me. But I had not spoken to her in years. She should hate me. Forget me. Curse me. And yet, here she was. Alone. Afraid. With a child that looked. No. It could not be. I opened the door to my memories. To that night, 5 months before she left. When she wore that soft red dress. When she said she had something to tell me. But I had a call. An investor from Tokyo. A deal I thought would make us immortal. So I walked out. And she never said it. My fingers shook as I reached for my car keys. The lake house was a 2-hour drive. But my mind raced faster than the wheels ever could. What if the baby was mine? What if she had carried our child in silence? What if all she needed now was someone to finally choose them? Over everything else? And what if this was the second chance I never deserved? But would die to have? I drove like a man possessed. The storm outside mirrored the one inside me. Rain thrashed against the windshield. Wipers struggled to keep up. But my eyes never left the road. Every second felt like a lifetime. Every heartbeat echoed with doubt, fear, and hope. I remembered the way Clara used to wait for me by that porch. Her arms folded, pretending not to be hurt. Pretending I had not just missed dinner. Again. She never yelled. She just stopped asking. By the time I reached the lake house, the rain had slowed. Fog rolled in from the trees, wrapping the house in silence. The lights inside flickered dimly. I stepped out. My shoes sank into the wet earth. I walked up the wooden steps, each one groaning under the weight of my guilt. And then I froze. Through the window, I saw her, Clara, sitting exactly where the camera showed her. The baby, now asleep in her arms. Tears streaked down her cheeks. Her shoulders trembling. She had not changed the locks. That hurt more than if she had. I reached for the handle, then paused. What if I was too late? What if she no longer wanted to see me? What if the pain I caused was too deep? But then, the baby stirred. Clara looked up, eyes wide. She saw me. Our eyes locked, and time collapsed. She did not smile. She did not run into my arms. But she did not turn away either. I opened the door. Slowly, gently. The familiar scent of lavender and old pine hit me. Memories rushed in. Of laughter. Of burnt toast on Sundays. Of whispered promises under shared blankets. I saw the cameras, I said. My voice was hoarse. Raw. Clara held the baby closer. Her eyes filled with something I could not name. Fear? Relief? Pain? Or all of it? I did not know where else to go, she whispered. I had nowhere left. I stepped closer, still unsure if I was allowed. Is he mine? She looked down, pressed her lips against the baby's forehead, and nodded. That one movement tore through me like a blade, and healed me all at once. Tears blurred my vision. I knelt beside her, not as a millionaire, not as the man who built skyscrapers and shattered records, but as the man who broke the only woman who truly loved him. I failed you, I said. Clara's lips trembled. I begged you to see me, she said. I begged you to come home. But your dreams had no room for us. I looked at our child. So small. So perfect. So innocent. I want to make it right, I whispered. I know I cannot undo the pain. But please, let me try. Clara stared at me, a storm of years passing in her gaze. Then, she reached into her bag and handed me the letter. It was damp, edges torn. My name was written in her careful handwriting. I unfolded it. Each line felt like fire on my fingers. And when I reached the last paragraph, my hands went cold. Because Clara had written it. In case she did not survive childbirth. My fingers clutched the letter as if it were her heartbeat. My eyes scanned the words, her final truths inked in pain. If you are reading this, it means I survived, or I didn't. Either way, I need you to know, I never stopped loving you. I was angry. I was shattered. But I never stopped. I prayed every night that you would see our child. That maybe one day, you would choose us. Even if I am not there to witness it. Please be better than the man who let us go. My vision blurred. She had prepared to die. Alone. Afraid. With no one to hold her hand in that delivery room. I looked up at her. Clara was watching me. Tears fell freely down her cheeks, but her eyes no longer looked away. You wrote this? I asked, barely able to speak. She nodded slowly. I was bleeding. In the hospital. The nurse said they might have to choose between me and the baby. I did not know if I would make it. And you still came back here? My voice cracked under the weight of it all. To the house we built together, after everything I did. Clara ran her hand through the baby's soft hair. I was not coming back for you, she said softly. I was coming back for him. Because even after all the silence, even after your absence, this house, this was the last place I believed in love. Her words gutted me. I had filled my world with gold and glass. But she had filled hers with faith. I sat beside her, unsure if I even had the right. The baby stirred, letting out a small cry. Clara instinctively held him closer, but her arms trembled. You must be exhausted, I whispered. Let me, may I? She hesitated. And then slowly, she placed our son into my arms. My heart almost stopped. I had held million-dollar contracts. Gripped the hands of presidents. Signed billion-dollar deals. But nothing ever felt this heavy. Or this sacred. He was warm. Breathing softly. His tiny fingers curled around mine. I swallowed a sob. I missed everything, I said. I missed his first kicks. His birth. His cries at night. His first smile. Clara's voice trembled. You missed it because you were chasing a world that never loved you back. She was right. Everything I had built meant nothing in this moment. The jets, the towers, the awards. None of it could give me this. Him, her, us. I want to start again, I said. Not with promises. With action. Let me be there. Even if it is just as the man who changes the diapers. Who stays up when he cries. Who earns his way back, one breath at a time. Clara looked down. Then up at me. And for the first time in years, she reached out and placed her hand on mine. He loves when someone sings to him, she said, even if it is out of tune. I smiled. My voice cracked. What do you sing? The same lullaby I sang to you, she whispered. So I began to hum. Off key. Uneven. But filled with every piece of my broken heart. And as I cradled our son, with Clara beside me, for the first time in years, I felt whole. Clara leaned her head gently against my shoulder. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. There was nothing to say that could undo the past. But everything in our silence said, maybe the future can still be ours. The baby stirred in my arms. His eyelids fluttering as if caught between dreams and the warmth of our touch. His small fingers gripped my shirt. Like he already knew. Like he was anchoring me to this moment. I named him Elijah, Clara whispered. It means my God is strength. The name pierced through me. I nodded, swallowing emotion. He is beautiful. And he was. He looked like her. The same gentle curve of the mouth. The soft brow, the stubborn chin. But I saw myself too, in his deep steady gaze. In the way he blinked as though the world was already too loud. Clara pulled the blanket over her lap. The same one we had picked out from that little roadside shop years ago. When we still counted change. And laughed at how poor we were. But how rich we felt. I came here, she said softly. Because part of me believed you would still care. Even after everything. I do, I whispered. I care more than I ever allowed myself to show. I got lost in the noise. In the chase. And I forgot what I was chasing for. She nodded slowly. The pain in her eyes had not vanished. But something had shifted. Maybe not forgiveness. But the beginning of it. I never wanted your money, she said. I only wanted your presence. Your time. Your hand when I was afraid. I tightened my hold on Elijah. I am here now. And if you let me, I will never leave again. A quiet wind rustled the trees outside. The fire crackled gently. And in that flickering glow, Clara looked at me with the eyes of the woman who once believed in me. I do not know if we can go back, she said. I am not the same woman who stood beside you in your garage, folding flyers while you pitched to no one. I am not that man either, I said. But maybe we can be something new. Built from the same roots. But stronger. Wiser. Kinder. She looked at our son. Then back at me. Elijah deserves a father who shows up, she said. Not just once, but always. I nodded. Tears burned in my eyes. You both deserve that. And I am going to earn it, not with words, but with every choice I make from here on. Clara reached for a glass of water. Her hands were shaking from exhaustion. I have not slept in 2 days, she said, trying to smile. Then let me take care of things tonight, I said, already standing. You can barely hold a bottle, she laughed quietly. I can learn, I smiled. For him, and for you, I will learn everything I never knew how to give. And as the night deepened, and the storm outside faded into silence, we sat together, the three of us. Not perfect, not healed, but here. And sometimes, being here is the first miracle. The fire cast soft, golden shadows across the walls, dancing over the old photo frames. Some still holding pictures of a younger us. Smiling, hopeful, unaware of the storms ahead. Clara leaned back, her eyes heavy with fatigue, her arms folded protectively, but her body finally beginning to relax. As if the years of tension had found a place to rest. Elijah whimpered in my arms. I rocked him gently, remembering a rhythm I had never learned, but somehow always knew. Clara watched me, her gaze quiet, cautious, and filled with something I had not seen in years. Curiosity. As if she was meeting a man she once loved deeply, and wondering if he had finally arrived. You were not there, she said quietly. Not accusing, just stating truth. But tonight you are. I was afraid, I admitted. Afraid I would fail you. Afraid I was never enough without the success. And in chasing what I thought I needed, I lost what I had already been given. Clara looked away for a moment. The firelight shimmered in her tears. I needed you when I sat in the doctor's office alone. When I heard the heartbeat for the first time. I needed you when the nurse told me I might not survive. When I held our son and cried. Because no one else did. I felt my throat tighten. My arms instinctively pulled Elijah closer. I cannot take that pain away, I whispered. But if you let me, I will carry it with you now. You will never be alone again. Clara closed her eyes. She nodded once. It was not forgiveness. Not yet. But it was trust. A fragile thread. Rewoven between two broken hearts. I do not want to raise him in bitterness, she said. Her voice soft as a prayer. He deserves to see what love looks like. Even if it is not the perfect kind. It will be real, I promised. No more excuses. No more hiding behind meetings, flights, or deals. This time, I choose you. I choose him. Every single time. Silence filled the room. Not heavy this time. But full of something. Sacred. Elijah shifted again. Letting out a sleepy sigh. His tiny hand curled against my chest. Right above my heart. Right where the guilt had lived for years. And in that moment, it did not feel like guilt anymore. It felt like hope. Clara stood slowly, her legs unsteady. I reached out, she hesitated, then placed her hand in mine. Stay here tonight, she said. In the guest room. I nodded. It was not an invitation into her heart. Not yet. But it was a beginning. A door she was no longer locking. And beginnings, I had learned, were far more powerful than endings. She walked toward the hallway, paused at the doorway, and looked back. Elijah likes to be held until he's deep asleep, she said. I smiled down at the boy. He might have to get used to that for a long time. Clara's lips curved slightly, a flicker of warmth breaking through years of ice. And then she disappeared down the hall. I stayed there, in the dim glow of our past, holding the child who would define our future. And for the first time in my life, I did not feel like a millionaire. I felt like something greater, a man being given a second chance to be whole. The house was quiet now, not empty, but peaceful. The kind of silence that hummed with meaning, like the world was gently exhaling after holding its breath too long. I walked slowly through the living room, still holding Elijah against my chest. He was heavier than I expected, not in weight, but in what he represented. Responsibility, redemption, love. I passed the old piano in the corner, the same one Clara used to play. She always said music made a house feel like home. I remembered one night, years ago, when she played a lullaby by candlelight. And I sat beside her, my hand resting on her growing belly. She had laughed and said, "One day, we will dance in this room with our baby in our arms." And then, I had missed that dance. Chased boardrooms instead of baby steps. Applause instead of lullabies. But now, here I was, standing in the same room, with that baby in my arms, and no one to impress but him. I sat down in the armchair by the window, carefully adjusting Elijah, so his head rested in the crook of my elbow. He let out a soft sigh, his tiny mouth forming a smile in his sleep. I watched him for a long time, watched the rise and fall of his chest, the innocence on his face, the peace he carried, even after all the chaos that had brought him into the world. And I wondered, could I be the man he needed? The father he deserved? I had built companies from dust, led empires through crisis. But nothing had ever made me feel more uncertain, or more determined. I gently traced his fingers, one by one. "I am sorry I was not there," I whispered. "But I am here now. And I will never let you wonder if you were wanted. You were always wanted, even when I was too blind to see it." Elijah stirred and made a soft sound, like he understood. Outside the window, the first light of dawn touched the treetops. Golden, fragile, new. A quiet knock broke the silence. I turned, and there she was. Clara, wrapped in her robe, her hair still damp from a shower, eyes red but calm. "I could not sleep," she said. Her voice held no anger, only honesty. "Neither could I." She walked toward us slowly, sat on the edge of the sofa. Close, but not too close. You look different with him, she said. Less hard. I nodded. I feel different. Clara looked at Elijah. Then at me. There were nights, she whispered, where I hated you. Not because you left, but because I knew you loved us. And still, you stayed away. I met her gaze. And I did not defend myself. I did not explain. I simply said the only words that mattered. I was wrong. Her lip trembled. And for a moment, I saw the woman I once kissed in the middle of a rainstorm, under this very roof, when all we had was hope. I want to believe you, she said, but belief takes time. Then I will give it all the time it needs. She nodded slowly. Her eyes drifted back to our son. Elijah is going to grow up fast, she said, and he will ask questions. About where you were. About why we were apart. I will tell him the truth, I said, that I was lost. And that his mother saved me, even when she had every reason not to. The tears came again. Not hers. Mine. I did not hide them this time. Because real men cry. Especially when they are holding everything they almost lost. Clara stood again. She reached out. And touched my hand. Not a promise. Not a reconciliation. But maybe a beginning. Again. Clara and I walked together by the lake the next morning. The same lake where we once dreamed out loud. When our world was still made of wishes, not wounds. Elijah giggled in her arms, reaching for the sunlight between the trees. And I realized, happiness is not loud. It is quiet. Soft. Earned. We did not speak much. Words were no longer needed. I had sold my shares. Walked away from the company. From the chaos. From the false gods of success. And for the first time in years, I had time. To sit. To listen. To grow. It was not easy. There were sleepless nights. Hard conversations. Therapy sessions filled with painful truth. But slowly, trust returned. Laughter returned. Love returned. Elijah took his first steps in our old living room. He said mama first, and then dada. Not because I was always perfect, but because I was present. Clara never rushed her forgiveness. And I never demanded it. It came in pieces. In smiles, in shared meals. In how she started calling it our home again. One evening, as we watched Elijah chase fireflies, she reached for my hand. And held it. Not because we were who we used to be, but because we had become something better. Wiser. Kinder. Real. Moral lesson. Life gives you many chances to rise. But very few chances to repair. Success means nothing if the people you love are not standing beside you. No award, no empire, no applause can replace the quiet power of a forgiving heart, or the strength it takes to say, I was wrong. I am here now. Let me be better. In the end, it is not your wealth, but your presence, your humility, and your willingness to begin again. That will define your legacy. Hold on to those who love you when you have nothing, and honor them when you have everything. Because some riches are not found in banks, but in second chances. Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it moved you, share it, comment below, and remind someone today. You are never alone.